Which teams will have a new quarterback in 2026, and which teams will be holding on to their quarterback with a tighter grip than me when I get my hands on a chocolate frosted donut? Seriously, I have a problem. I think we've officially seen enough in the 2025 season to be able to gauge whether a team is going to keep their quarterback beyond this season, or if they're going to be looking elsewhere in a couple months. I'm going to gauge the likelihood here on a scale of 1 to 5, with a separate tier at the bottom for teams that there is just absolutely no chance that they're moving on from their quarterback to the point where it doesn't make sense to even assign a number to it. And if you're wondering which sports card is holding my mic this week, it is a Jeff Hardy autographed Royal Rumble card. Pretty tight, I know. Starting with the Arizona Cardinals, what are the odds that the Cardinals are going into 2026 with a different quarterback other than Kyler Murray? Borderline guaranteed. This was really one of the first long-term rumors that we heard during this season, that the Cardinals and Kyler Murray were probably going to part ways. Now, that rumor came out weeks back at this point, but nothing has happened since that would make me think plans have changed. It's been trending this way for a few years now. Kyler just never really taking that next step forward, not really showing the right traits as a leader, caring more about learning the new COD meta than learning the playbook. Kyler's as good as gone. I don't know where he's going to go. I mean, hell, he might go play baseball. We'll see exactly who this new quarterback is going to be for Arizona. They're going to be somewhere in the top 10 of the NFL draft, but it remains to be seen exactly where. They may very well be outside of that top 5, putting them out of the running for any of the top quarterback prospects of this class. Maybe we just get another Jacoby Brissett gap year. Who knows? He's been playing all right. The Atlanta Falcons. Now, this is an interesting one. Michael Penix Jr. down with the torn ACL, expected to miss about 9 months, which puts his return right at the beginning of next season, roughly. Now, for the sake of this video, when I say which teams are going to have a new quarterback in 2026, I'm not just talking about adding a new quarterback. I'm talking about a full-on philosophical, this is our new quarterback type of change. I'm not sure if the Falcons are going to fully move off Michael Penix like that, just because of the injury, although there's definitely a justification that they could because of all of the injuries he's had in the past. I'm going to put them at a 3. And again, this is a 3 as far as the odds of them bringing in the new guy, whoever that is, whether that's a draft pick, whether that's someone in free agency who's going to be legitimate competition for Michael Penix. I don't know. I could really see it going either way. I could see them bringing in some kind of stopgap guy and just waiting for Penix to get healthy and then giving him, another year before determining whether he's the future of their franchise. So yeah, could go either way. Baltimore Ravens, get your oinkers in the sky, baby, because not unless pigs fly. Lamar Jackson, injury-riddled season, obviously not up to his normal standard, but just as obviously, he is not going anywhere. Josh Allen, not unless Porky the Pig starts his own airline will he be anywhere but Buffalo next season. Carolina Panthers are an interesting one because Bryce is very much an up and down sort of quarterback. Shows some major flashes in one direction and then some major flashes in the exact opposite direction. I certainly don't think it's when pigs fly territory for them to move off Bryce. I also don't know that they're actively going to be like, oh, we definitely need a new quarterback. Because let's be honest, pickings are slim out there. Shout out George. I'll put it at a 2. I could see them entertaining it if the right opportunity presented itself. But again, pickings are slim. And unless their interest is really piqued by somebody who becomes available, maybe a draft pick trade comes their way, I don't know. The Chicago Bears, while Caleb Williams is obviously not as good as Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, he is also going in the when pigs fly tier. First year under Ben Johnson, the Bears are having a great season. Caleb still got his flaws, but nowhere near enough for them to consider moving off of him. I think we're seeing the progression. He's still a young, super talented quarterback. They ain't going anywhere else yet. All right, hear me out. No, stop yelling. Just hear me out, okay? The Bengals would be the dumbest franchise ever to let Joe Burrow go. However, I'm not convinced that they're not the dumbest franchise. Listen, they have not set up Joe Burrow to succeed. We know that. We see it year in and year out. They don't get the O-line. They don't really get anything outside of good receivers. And yes, I understand the money is tied up because they wanted to keep all those guys, and Joe Burrow advocated for them keeping, both T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, which is going to make roster construction a little harder. With that said, they could draft a little better. There have been some murmurs, some light rumblings about Joe Burrow possibly getting traded this offseason. I don't think it's going to happen, but the fact that there's even been speculation on that front, I'm gonna put it at a 1. At this point, and again, this is a indictment of the Bengals and their inability to build around one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, but we are at a point where it might be advisable for them to really just tear everything down. Like, if they can get 3 first-round picks for Joe Burrow from a bad team like the Jets, it becomes interesting to me. Again, I don't think it's going to happen. We don't generally see massive trades like this happen too often. I mean, we just saw Micah Parsons get traded, and that feels like the biggest trade we'll see for a long time. But yeah, I'm not going to put it in the when pigs fly tier, not considering how incapable the Bengals have been of putting a contender around Burrow. I think they might at least listen. Guys, before we continue, I got to give a shout out to our sponsor for today's video, PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 sports picks app. Football and basketball season are in full swing, and there's no better time to join. To create a lineup, all you have to do is pick more more or less on a few player stats. That's it. But now, on top of picking players like they've had for years, you can pick teams and even culture events on PrizePicks. Just pick who you think will win the big game, who will win the fight, or even the total or the spread. And like I said, they're going beyond just sports too, with culture picks. Everything from music and movie winners, even things like video game release dates or the price of crypto. Best of all, PrizePicks will give you $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you'll get $50 in lineups. Use promo code BENCH when you download the app and sign up today. That's code BENCH. Link is down below. Plus, you can follow me on the app at BenchWarmerBrand and see all my picks in real time, player picks, team picks, culture picks, all in one app, PrizePicks. The Cleveland Browns, I'm going to put it a 4. Truthfully, I cannot imagine them going into next season with Shedeur Sanders as their undisputed, clear starting quarterback, unless the guy plays like straight up prime Tom Brady for the rest of the season. So I fully expect them to bring in somebody else. It's just, I think the way Shedeur plays over these next 6 weeks will kind of determine the quality of quarterback that they bring in. Are they going to draft one with the first overall pick in the draft, if they end up with it? Or are they going to draft one with maybe their second round pick? Or maybe they sign some kind of free agent? Either way, I think a new quarterback is very, very likely coming to Cleveland this offseason. I'm just not sure exactly who. The Dallas Cowboys. Now, look, Dak Prescott is playing awesome. They have no good reason to move off of him. They are obviously trying to do whatever their version of contending is. However, strictly because this is a team owned and run by Jerry Jones, I have to put it at a 1. I have to. I can't say that it's when pigs fly chance of them getting rid of Dak Prescott when they just got rid of Micah Parsons. I just can't do it. It's not going to happen. I absolutely don't think they're actually going to get rid of Dak Prescott. You just have to leave the door open for the slight possibility that Jerry wakes up one day and forgot to take his meds and decides to send Dak Prescott to some Russian football league or something. I don't know. The Denver Broncos are in first place in the AFC West as I make this video. They are not going to make a quarterback change this offseason. Oops. Do I think it's a guarantee that they give Bo Nix some massive extension in a couple years? No, I don't think that's an absolute locked-in guarantee. Not the way we've seen some of these other quarterback contracts work out, but they're definitely not going to be exploring any other options this upcoming offseason. The Detroit Lions, oink oink, get your bacon in the sky. Absolutely not. Green Bay Packers, same thing. The Houston Texans need to do a better job of protecting CJ Stroud and getting him an offensive coordinator who actually knows how to maximize his strengths again. But I don't think CJ Stroud himself is in any danger of being moved on from by the Houston Texans. Look, credit where credit's due to Davis the Neck Mills going 3-0 as it stands right now in relief of CJ Stroud while CJ recovers from the concussion. But this is still CJ's team. There's a chance, I guess a chance that they don't extend him, much like how I just talked about Bo Nix, if he doesn't show a little more next year again. But for right now, nothing to worry about. The Indianapolis Colts, I'm going to put them at a 2, but not because of their own doing. I think if the Colts have a new quarterback that they are handing the keys over to next season instead of Daniel Jones, it will strictly be because another team came in and offered Daniel Jones more money than what Indy was willing to pony up. I think in an ideal world, Indy would absolutely love to bring Daniel Jones back. They're in first place with him leading the way, but he is starting to show some cracks this season that make you think he's probably not worth this gigantic extension. So now it becomes how much is another team willing to pay him compared to how much they're willing to pay him. Because there are going to be plenty of teams in the market for a quarterback this offseason. So I think there's a chance the Colts could enter 2026 with a different starting quarterback other than Daniel Jones, but I don't think it would be because they're like, oh, we definitely want to get rid of Daniel Jones and find somebody else. They might just get outbid. The Jacksonville Jaguars, brother, Trevor Lawrence, we need to have talk, my friend. It has now been 5 years of you refusing to be the guy that we thought you were going to be. That's really all I could say about it. You have not been the prince that was promised, #1 overall pick, most slam dunk quarterback since like Peyton Manning draft pick that you were supposed to be. And at a certain point, it becomes impossible to keep defending you and keep expecting you to take that step forward. Now, the problem for the Jags is they've already signed Trevor to an extension. He is the second highest paid quarterback in the entire league on an annual basis. And he is nowhere near worth that money. We have to border on the when pigs fly tier here just because of how much money he's being paid, but I'm gonna put it at a 1. And I mean, it's way more of an actual 1 than the Cowboys is. Because I could see a world where somebody wants to trade for Trevor Lawrence, and the Jags, especially with a new coaching staff and new GM in place from the one that drafted Trevor, say, we might be interested in that. The money makes it really hard again, so I don't think it's likely. That's why it's still just a 1, despite how underwhelmingly he's played this year and for most of his career. So yeah, unlikely, but I don't think totally impossible. The Kansas City Chiefs, yeah, I think it's fair to say they're going to hold on to that Mahomes guy for a little bit longer. You know, at least for next season. We can reevaluate after that. Los Angeles Chargers, same thing. Justin Herbert's not going anywhere. The Los Angeles Rams, I'm actually going to put it at 2 here. And this is for no other reason than the ongoing back issues that Stafford seems to have every offseason. I mean, coming into this year, it sounded like Stafford was about half dead. There were rumors he was going to retire, and then there was this big, like, trailer thing that popped up at their training camp that he went into. I don't know. It looked like something out of an alien movie, and it apparently zapped him back to health so much so that he's he's just going to win MVP this year. But you got to put this at a 2 just for the chance that he does call it a career after this year, especially if he wins another Super Bowl. He may just ride off into the sunset. The Las Vegas Raiders are as 5 as it gets. Geno Smith has been an unmitigated disaster in Las Vegas. One of my worst predictions of the season was that the Raiders would actually be a good team, possibly contend for a wild card spot. Instead, Geno Smith looks like he went straight back to New York Jets Geno Smith. He has been useless. The Raiders have already fired Chip Kelly. They are definitely bringing in a different face next year. The Dolphins with Tua Tagovailoa, I'm going to put at a 3. Much like the Trevor Lawrence Jag situation, this is a really complicated one to navigate because he's getting paid so much money. But we have seen a precedent for getting off a contract like this before. It's the Denver Broncos who ate about $100 million in dead cap just to straight up cut Russell Wilson because that dude was so buns. I'm not saying I think the Dolphins are going to do that. I'm not saying they're not going to do that. At the very least, I would not be surprised if they bring in a real quarterback to compete with Tua Tagovailoa, with how uninspiring his play has been ever since teams stopped letting him just throw bombs over their head to Tyreek Hill all game. The Minnesota Vikings, the home of 9. What are you going to do when 9 comes out to play? Because 9's scary, man. You don't want to mess with 9. Unless you're a defensive back that wants to catch an overthrown pass, because then you probably really want to mess with 9. JJ McCarthy has been horrible. Straight up. And I don't often say this about young quarterbacks, but I think they might need to just give up on him already. I'm going to put the Vikings at a 4. We have just seen nothing from JJ McCarthy to look at as a building block. You got to at least see flashes out of your young quarterback to want to commit to him long term. And outside of that fourth quarter comeback all the way back in week 1, we really haven't seen anything out of JJ McCarthy. The only thing we've seen is him overthrow Justin Jefferson week in and week out to the point where I genuinely feel bad for the guy. Jefferson, not McCarthy. And I just really wouldn't be surprised if they pulled the plug on this one. This is a team I could absolutely see going after a Daniel Jones or trading for a Mac Jones. Rolling into 2026 with JJ McCarthy just feels like the fan base is going to be on edge immediately. And that's just not how you want to start a year. I think JJ might be toast, which would mean 9 is also toast. You would have to lock me in a psych ward if the Patriots quarterback is anybody other than Drake May next year. The New Orleans Saints I'll put right in the middle at 3. They've got Tyler Shuck, 2nd round pick. He's showing some promise, so I don't think it's a guarantee that they pursue another quarterback. But again, I also think if there's a quarterback that they fall in love with in the draft and they're in position to get that guy, you don't pass a guy up like that just because you took a quarterback the year prior in the 2nd round. So it's just one where I could see it going either way. The New York Giants, Jackson Dart's going to be their guy. The New York Jets, guaranteed new quarterback next season. This is one that I'll be very interested to see who it is. Obviously, I have some personal stake with it being in the AFC East. But yeah, Justin Fields, Tyrod Taylor, not going to be starting for the Jets. The Philadelphia Eagles, obviously sticking with Jalen Hurts. The Pittsburgh Steelers are another one that it's like a 50-50. It's really just if Rodgers is going to retire or not. So I'll put them at 3. The Seattle Seahawks, normally I would be hesitant to say a team is going to commit to Sam Darnold long term, kind of no matter how well he's playing after what we saw with the Vikings last year. But considering he is under a 3-year deal that I think technically the Seahawks could get out of if they wanted to, they have no reason to want to. Darnold looks good in that offense. I do not expect them to move on. So oddly enough, I'm going to put him in when pigs fly. The San Francisco 49ers are not going to have a different quarterback after the extension they just signed Brock Purdy to. Although I think it's fair to start to ask whether they should just start Mac Jones instead. But that's a topic for another day. Tampa Bay Buccaneers will not be moving on from Baker Mayfield. He is the heart and soul of that team. The Tennessee Titans I'll put at a 1 just because they are going to have probably the first overall pick again. And so if they happen to fall in love with a quarterback that they like more than Cam Ward, I don't think we can totally rule it out. I mean, after all, we saw what the Cardinals did a couple years ago. They had Josh Rosen. They drafted Kyler Murray anyway. I don't think they should do it. I don't think they will do it, but I don't think it's totally off the table either. So just putting it at a, remote possibility here. And then the Washington Commanders obviously are not going to move off Jaden Daniels. So there you have it, your little off-season primer of which teams are going to have a new quarterback in 2026 and which teams are not. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of my selections, and if you are a fan of a team that's probably going to have a new quarterback in 2026, let me know in the comments who you think that's going to be. But that'll do it for now. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.